Less than a month from tax filing today, and while taxpayers and accountants are getting busy, so are criminals. Tax return fraud is a growing problem.
How big of a problem? Well, the IRS received more than 2 million bogus returns last year. Returns filed by thieves who had stolen people's identities. Senior correspondent John Miller reports now on victims who were devastated by the crime.
So what was Caitlin like?
She was the most beautiful little girl. She was just laid back. She was happy. I mean, she hardly ever cried.
In December 2008, Terry and Stephanie McClung welcomed daughter Caitlin into the world. But just 5 months later, they lost her to sudden infant death syndrome, or SIDS.
And this is the only family portrait that we ever had done. We never got a chance to go get a real family portrait done. So this is the only one we have of all of us together.
So imagine their shock when they discovered that someone had stolen Caitlin's identity and claimed her as a dependent for the $1,500 it would add to a fraudulent tax return.
It's a slap in the face. I mean, it was only, not even a year, after she passed, and, we have to deal with this, we had to deal with that now.
Or take the case of Sergeant Adam Ray, a West Point graduate killed in Afghanistan by an IED. Scammers filed his tax returns and had the refund issued directly to a green dot debit card like this one from a Georgia bank. In just 3 years, tax refund fraud has increased by 700%. $2 billion of your tax dollars paid out to thieves last year alone.
Well,
Tom Boyle is with the U.S. Postal Inspection Service. What's in a box like this?
You're looking just in this one bucket over $3 million worth of fraud.
In just a couple of weeks?
In a couple of weeks, yes.
So why is this crime exploding? 2 factors. Because online companies like TurboTax make filing taxes fast and easy, and the IRS, in an effort to get the refunds out quickly, does not cross-check tax returns against employers' payroll records. To exploit that, scammers buy lists of names and social security numbers of living people on the black market and troll internet family support sites to steal the identities of the dead. So can you ballpark how much the IRS is paying out to people who are not the taxpayer?
It's a number that I can't get my head around. We know one company that you can file through. There was over 300 million filed alone.
And there's 20 of those companies.
And there's 20 of those companies.
Last September, 49 people were arrested in Tampa for trying to bilk the government out of $130 million. In many cases, the fraud is first detected by the mailman.
Postal carriers have been really helpful. They know they're out. They have told us, listen, I'm getting 60 or hundreds of tax returns for this one address in this one apartment building.
This postal inspector worked undercover to break up a massive refund fraud case in New York City. What was the one thing going into this that really surprised you?
The amount of money and how easy it was for them to get some of these checks, and the amount of money that I was paid. There were times where I was handed thousands of dollars just on the street.
Florida Senator Bill Nelson has introduced legislation to increase protection for people like the McClungs and increase penalties for the scammers.
We need the hard, strong fist of the law to come down on these criminals so that they understand that they're not going to get away with this.
What would you like to see happen to the person behind this?
I would like them to go to jail, and I would like them to pay back every single penny that, they stole.
Senator Nelson is holding a hearing on this morning, and he's expected to call for major changes and oversight on tax refunds. Meanwhile, the IRS told us they caught 87% of the fraudulent returns that were filed in 2011, and that they've taken major steps to put in place new processes for handling tax returns, along with stronger compliance filters to detect fraud.
John, no crime is good, but there are some crimes you hear about where you go, it's so low, so heartless, so scuzzy.
Well, when you look at the victims,
that one. Yes.
I mean, a baby, a war hero.
Yeah. Do authorities know who's responsible?
You know, they've traced this to a couple of groups. This is really interesting, Gail, because what they found actually threw me for a loop, which is, in the New York case, this is a complex Dominican drug organization that is kind of walking away from drugs to say, the money is easier here, it's faster, it's bigger, and the prison sentences, 5 years, you know, when you're taking in $100 million is stunning.
So then how do you, if it's so easy, how do we make sure it doesn't happen?
Well, you know, the IRS issued a list of tips. Don't carry your Social Security card or any documents with your Social Security number on it. Don't give a business your Social Security number just because they ask for it. Check your credit report every year. Protect your personal computers with firewalls and security like that. But even if you do all that, the fact is, and in this case we learned that, people will go online to ancestry websites where people who just died to deconflict it, they say here's their date of birth, date of death, Social Security number, or you can pay $9 for a background check. A lot of those include Social Security numbers. And frankly, they're buying those lists from
$9 and I can get a Social Security number?
and some of those sites you can.
Oh.
And they're selling lists on the black market that come from insiders. Those are people in the HR department, people in colleges and medical institutions that are say, here's a bunch of lists with dates of birth and socials.
Oh, I think it's saying something when you say it threw you for a loop, because you've seen a lot, Mr. Miller.
Well, you know, when you
point.
see drug dealers pushing the drug business aside because there's bigger money somewhere else, that's shocking.
Tells you something. All right, John, thanks.